What's up, everyone? Yu-Gi-Oh 101 tips video. Matter of fact, let me just grab this notepad so I can scratch this off. Yu-Gi-Oh 101 tips. How to read your opponent's back row. That's what it says in the title, right? Well, let me just throw these disclaimers out. First off, there is no foolproof way for you to read your opponent's back row. Um, there is no way to tell what your opponent has in your back row. So I want you to take everything that I'm going to say with a grain of salt. This topic was actually a suggestion made by a viewer in the Yu-Gi-Oh 101 community. Um, I believe like a year ago, and I never really got around to doing it because I wanted to take my time to just really gather my thoughts on this and really just speak from my own experience. You know, when it comes to reading your opponent's back row, there's no foolproof way to do it. So I don't want you, taking this advice I'm finna give you based on, like I said, my own experience and try to say, oh, like this is how it is. No, everybody has their own ways. This is what I do in order to read my opponent's back row. The very first thing you do, what you do is keep note of the most popular spell and trap cards that are being used in the game, such as Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, um, what's another one? Uh, uh, Starlight Road, so like Dark Bribe, these cards. Keep a mental note in your head. And for me, what I do is that I always treat their back row as one of those cards, even though it's not. But it helps me out. And the reason why I do that is because it helps me take precautions as to what I want to do and what I don't want to do. So in the event that is actually the card that I'm thinking, I already have a plan set in motion in order for me to counter that, or for me to use something to where it doesn't hurt me and I can trick them into using that, like a lot earlier than they planned on to. Another thing you can do, pay attention to your opponent's hand. Now, I'm not talking about, like the number of cards in their hand necessarily, but pay attention to like the position and like where their cards are. Matter of fact, I wish I had. Yeah, matter of fact, hold on one second. I should have did this beforehand, but silly me. Okay, so let's say for example, if your opponent had like 4 cards in their hand, and it's pretty much been like the beginning of the duel. So let me get like 4 cards out of here, just 4 random cards. So let's say like your opponent has like 4 cards in their hand, saying like just like this, and yeah, just as I was mentioning earlier, just pay attention to how many cards they have. I kind of so like mixed that up a little bit back then, but yeah, just pay attention to how many cards they have, and you're gonna notice that it's gonna be certain cards that they keep into their hands that sometimes they'll just throw down. You know what I'm saying? In order for you to waste your MST or like a heavy storm or what have you, they can use these cards in order to bait you in. So you got to really be aware of how many cards they have kept in their hand up until the point that they lay down their trap card. Chances are, if they quickly just like lay down a trap card, or like if they lay down a card in their back row, chances are that's something that they really want to use. And just pay attention to how fast and how slow they put their cards down in their back row. Like I said, there's no foolproof way to tell what they're playing, but there are certain ways in order for you to just notice what they're doing, and that can help you take proper precautions against your opponent. And these are things that I've done, since like 2002. I just had like a natural knack for it. It was one of those things that I always noticed. I paid attention to like I said, the most popular trap and spell cards that were being used, and most of the people ended up using those cards. Like 90%, I say like 90 to 98% of the people that I duel against on uh, what I'm saying, like various websites and online games or whatever, they use these cards because they go after like those top tier builds, and those top tier builds seem to always run, Solemn Judgment, saying like Solemn Warning, um, Torrential Tribute, what I'm saying, those cards. And I'm pretty much already mentally preparing myself for that. And I have some provisions in my build that can stop those cards. And no, I'm not talking about like the little simple things like MST or whatever. I have provisions like strategies in place in order that if I'm not able to draw an MST or my Heavy Storm, I can do this and I can trick you into activating that card quicker than you want to, just throwing off your entire strategy, which is to just, which is to uh, um, throw off my strategy. So it's really kind of ingenious. But again, a disclaimer that this is no foolproof way to tell what your opponent is going to be playing. All you can do is just stay one step ahead of the game and use your experience to your advantage. Again, pay attention to how many cards they have in their hands, and notice, like when they are quicker to, so like play a card or like set a card in their back row, and at times they are slower to do that. Because at times that they're slower to do it, it could be bait, or it could be, that they finally have the other cards in their hand in order for them to activate whatever strategy that they had planned. So you really got to be careful with that. Again, there's no foolproof way for you to read your opponent's back row, but there are ways for you to take. There are like certain steps you can take in order to, just better yourself in the game, in order for you to take more precautions against your opponent's back row. So that's pretty much it. So again, just a quick recap. Take notes of the most popular spells and traps that are being used in the game overall. Pay attention to your opponent's hand, how quick they are to set cards in their back row, and how slow they are. And based on those last 2 points, that's going to determine whether or not they're using something that they're trying to bait you with, or if it's really something that they want to use real quick. So because normally when a duelist has a card in their hand that they really want to use, they're more eager to use that. You know what I mean? So that's just based on that logic. So yeah, so that's the video. I hope it was informative. I hope this was helpful in any way possible. Again, if you guys have any questions regarding Yu-Gi-Oh tips, or if you guys have some subjects that you feel like I should speak on, then please leave it in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. Yeah, so that being said, peace and have fun.